What is up?
What's
Welcome to the
going on?
Smash Masters podcast. We talk PDR, collision repair, everything in between. I'm Stefan Eschi. That's Nick Priest.
What's up, guys? How's everybody
Welcome,
doing?
welcome to episode 91.
91 is the
Yep.
episode, and we've got what do we got today? Today is, I guess, a really good day for you, is it not?
It's my first Monday being on my own.
Okay, so we talk about this all the time. Let's just go through this right quick. I know usually we have topics and things to talk about, but it's one thing to say a lot of the stuff and then to actually do it, and then the thought process behind it. Isn't it a little bit different when you realize, hey, it's all me out here. Now I have to go out here and find it.
I have to be honest, I don't think it's really hit me yet. My situation's a little different than most because I've been doing this in all my free time. So it just felt like a continuation of that, like if I wasn't at the body shop, I was doing the PDR and business work. So I'm not at the body shop, so I'm doing the PDR and business work. Now, give me a few days, and maybe that'll change. Maybe it'll take longer than that, but it's actually kind of odd. It's quite uneventful on my end. I mean,
well, the reason I asked that is because I'm gonna ask you the same thing next week, and we should have a little bit more data on stuff to kind of go over and talk about. But yeah, you've been doing PDR work, and then you kind of just
it's just a continuation of that.
Let the body shop go. But I mean, tomorrow when you wake up, you're not going to the body shop.
Right. I mean, it's
You're used to doing that.
It's a different change. It's a change. So here's what I've noticed so far. All right. So I was able to take all my crappy clothes that I used to wear to the body shop every week, and I threw them all out.
Yeah.
So I ended up with the ability to, organize myself personally better.
Okay.
So like there's that,
right.
And there's the rest of it, I just noticed that, what people talk about, how you feel like if you're not doing something for the business, like if you're relaxing for a minute, you feel bad. I'm noticing some of that, but like that's been there, for the last year.
Right.
So, again, you ask me again next week.
Yeah, no, I'm going to. But I just wanted some data because it is different for a lot of people. And you're right, it may not hit you because this is your first day, but you're used to waking up and going straight to the body shop and doing your normal routine.
Yeah.
From whatever 8 to, let's just say, 8 to 5. And now you're no longer going to have that. So what does that look like going forward for you and let's say on day one? And this is stuff that I want to also talk about with Matt when we bring him on in just a minute. Of course, he's got a successful business, and he talks about that kind of stuff at the MTE all the time and all that. And I would like to ask him also, like, if he had to redo over some things, what would he change? And just typical going along stuff like that. But moving forward for you, what is it looking like, you think? Are you just going to go out and campaign, do some networking, some like gear your videos maybe towards your local market, or what are you thinking?
So I run Google Ads pretty strong. That gets me a lot of work. I worked really hard on my website. So for the local marketing, I did a lot of website SEO. I made sure to put in pages for each individual town in my area, so that if somebody is in 3 towns over and they search for their local dent guy for their town, my website pops up. So that's how I worked on the local marketing. When it comes to what my future plans are, is really when I have dent repair appointments every day, and I like to do this stuff in the morning, and I'll put something easier in the afternoon. but I'll end up with time in the afternoon. And my goal is every day on my way home to stop by one or two places to try and sell, either to a body shop. I do need a couple wholesale accounts, so I'm looking
Right.
at possibly maybe a dealership or a dirt lot here and there.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it's all in the works. It's up in here. I've got 15, 16 appointments scheduled. So it's not like I've got lots of time free to do it, but I mean, I'm already out there on the road. There's no reason why I can't hit somewhere on the way back.
Okay. All right. Well, Matt looks like he's ready to hop on in. So let's go ahead and get Matt up in here.
Yeah.
What's up, Matt?
What's going on, guys?
All right. Kane says, "Oh my God, like the Matt Moore? Yeah, just like the Matt Moore."
Kane, I have a finger to show you, but I'll do it later on in the podcast once I've had a couple of drinks. That guy.
So Anthony asked a normal question for you. Like, how many is a normal day? So what is it? What would be like a normal day starting out? Do you think you're just going small first, right?
Me? So yeah, I get a lot of medium stuff sent to me. So I like to get that thing done first thing in the morning, and then I give them all the time I think I might need, plus a little extra. I'm still new, so I'm working on that. But then if I get a little ding, then I put those at the end of the day, and I just hit them, on the way back. But yeah, it's just right now 2. I mean, I'm getting a lot of big stuff. So if it was little stuff, I would schedule more.
Okay. All right. So if it's 2 into 15, you can probably divide that up pretty fast, and you've got a couple days work. But Matt, we got you here. You've kind of heard what we've been going over, topics and all that stuff. I know you're very fluent in this category.
So I don't know how fluent. I'll tell you all the mistakes I made.
Well, right. Isn't that just the like how we get through any of this stuff, just by making mistakes and and just getting past them, being too stubborn to quit?
For sure, yeah. And so I hear that today's your first day PDR only. Like you jumped in 100%
weekday. Yes,
right. Weekday. Awesome. Yep. That's killer. Yeah, it's it's a scary thing, and it's what people. I don't think like when you jump in and start learning PDR, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever learn. And then when you start learning how to run a business, it's also one of the hardest things you'll ever do. And a lot of people make the mistake of just jumping in. They go to, a month of training or whatever it is, and then they think they're going to come back and start a successful business. And it's like you're learning. If you've not been a business owner and you've not been a PDR tech, you're learning 2 of the hardest skills that you're ever going to learn in your life, and you're trying to learn them at the same time. And you're going to be making mistakes along the way both times in both departments. And so it sounds like, with your journey, it's been, you've really mastered or at least brought your PDR significant distance to where now you can work on the business side of it. And it's not going to be easy. I mean, it's just like the PDR. You're going to have days where things fail and you're like, why the hell did I do that? And why didn't I, whatever. And they're costly, but it'll be, it's awesome. I think that's super exciting for you that you've taken that step, man. That's killer.
I appreciate it. It is a big step for sure. But you're not wrong. I got to utilize my time in the body shop to really hone in some PDR skills. And because it was a 4-day work week, I had Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays to do PDR that whole time. So it's that kind of put off the whole business part. Now I'm diving into the business part.
Yeah. And so you're focused on retail. I heard you say as I was jumping in that you were working on maybe grabbing a couple of wholesale accounts just to help supplement some cash flow and keep things steady.
Yep.
The retail side, you were talking about the ends of your days knocking on doors. One of the things I would do, not that you're asking advice, but I would do it, and we do it still at my company now. But I always tell people, don't overlook going and talking to insurance agents in your market. It's like I think Ryan Shutt, I think he was on here earlier. If he's still on here, he's one of the guys that kind of like opened my eyes to that freaking years ago at a conference we were both speaking at. And he was talking about, I'm stealing it from Ryan, but he basically got some really well-made clipboards that were like super solid. You could throw them up in the air and they wouldn't break. And he gave them out to all the adjusters in his market. And then going into agents and literally just having a binder of when was the last time I spoke to them? What did we talk about? Did I bring them donuts or pencils or pads or whatever it was? Because agents, I look for a lot of times is who I'm talking to is I don't try to actually, like obviously you sell to a body shop or you sell to a dealership, but a lot of what you're selling to is you're creating promoters in your market, people who you can only know so many people, but they, finding the person who knows another 500 people that when they get a car issued, that's who they're going to go to. So like an insurance agent, service advisors are like that, car guys, car shows, those are all ideal clients that if you could educate only 500 people, those are the 500 you want to find. So just trying to find ways to do that and just going out, educating people in your market. And that will bleed into so many different referrals as a result.
Okay. So if you were starting over from day one, that would be at the top of your list.
If I was starting, it depends on where you're talking about starting over, starting PDR or starting over.
Just starting over like in Stefan's shoes.
Yeah, I think I would focus. So when I first got into PDR, I went to 2 weeks of training and then went and worked for a guy for basically a year. So that's my story. I don't know if I've shared it with either one of you guys in the past, but it's, I worked with a gentleman out of Atlanta for a year. He knew he was getting married and moving away. So I worked at a dealership as an internet sales manager for a while. And then I was getting trained to be a wholesale manager. And I was kind of in charge of the recon while I was at the dealership. And the dent guy made more and worked less than anyone I knew. He would roll in and, the dent guy life, he'd roll in at 10 and be gone by, we'd take an hour lunch together and he'd be gone by 3 with a $1,100 bill in my hand. And I was like, man, that's the job I want right there. And, so he and I got to be friends and he was moving to, out of state to get married, a little ways out. And I just made him an offer. I said, what would it look like for me to take over your business? And he said, well, it'd be hard to make that successful because it takes too long to train and all the reasons that I would give to someone if they were trying to do the same. And I said, is there anything I can do to shorten that? And he said, well, you can quit your job and go to training and then start working for me basically yesterday. And I said, okay. I mean, I still have, my wife is very, very supportive and took some chances with me, took some chances on me and took some chances with me. And that was, I went to a couple of weeks of training and didn't really learn anything other than terminology and how to read a light essentially a little bit, but I still didn't have any skills. And then I worked for him for about a year and then took over his business. So, one of the pieces of advice he gave me early on that I really took was that during that year of training, I did not solicit to any dealerships because I was doing mostly wholesale. I didn't solicit to any dealerships or body shop that were within about 45 minutes of my home because I knew I was going to make so many mistakes that first year to 2 years. I didn't want to burn bridges. Then when I came back, when I had my skills, they had a memory of me as the hack dent guy that couldn't finish the job or the guy that couldn't say yes to the body line dent or whatever, the aluminum or whatever. So I went, I drove literally an hour and a half to Atlanta every day. And because there's so many cars in Atlanta, I could find market and, would just do as much work as I could to get my hands on metal and get the metal time. And then as I increased my skills, I started trying to land dealers closer to home and then giving up the ones that were the furthest away. And that's kind of how I ended up taking my journey into the wholesale. I was blessed to take over some accounts when I bought the business from him, but I still had to land my own to keep it going.
Yeah, for sure. You got to have that blend of wholesale and retail because as I say, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. It's a little risky. And it gets cold up here for a long time up here in Connecticut. So those wholesale accounts will keep you going through some tougher times.
I think for a long time, I really went heavy into retail and part of it was just, I was bored of my career. In all honesty, probably 7-8 years in, I just was like, I'm not a car guy by nature. A lot of our clients are, and a lot of the people I surround myself with are car guys. I wanted the entrepreneurial side and I wanted to be challenged in that way. I literally was thinking about going back and getting my license to either sell insurance or get a broker's license to do, trading. And I just wanted to sell. I love that part of my job, but I didn't really like the other parts.
Yeah.
And so when I challenged myself and went into the retail side, it was kind of just more for myself than because it was the right business move. It was just what challenged me more. And then opening the shop was kind of an extension of that, bringing on team members and creating processes and realizing that I all this time had claimed to be a business owner, and I kind of did, but at the end of the day, I kind of owned a job and I wanted to actually own a business. So really challenging myself to become a business owner and treat it like a business owner would. So that was kind of how my journey got to where I am, almost or just at 20 years into the industry or into the business now.
So every time you got bored, you found an opportunity to grow in a different path.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this and anybody who's heard me talk, Andy, I know was in here a minute ago. The circles and squares, they joke because I say it all the time, but it changed my career multiple times. I do an exercise, and sorry if you've heard it. I'll keep it short.
Please. No, go
take
ahead.
a piece of paper and I write down all the things I did last Thursday on that piece of paper. Just write, went to breakfast with my wife or took the kids there or did this, all the stuff, good and bad, everything. Had to do Facebook posts, did my taxes, emailed this person, went and did the sales call, fixed this dent, took this car apart. And then I take that pencil and I circle all the things that I absolutely love, the things that I would honestly probably do for fun or for free if money wasn't a thing. I take that same pencil, I square all the things I just hate. The things that if this was my whole job, if all I had to do all day was this, I would not be in this world very long. It would not be a long, or I'd be searching for a new career. And there's gonna be a lot of things that aren't circled or squared, the neutrals. You do it because you're paid to do it, because your job. And so my challenge to myself was always to try to grow in ways that I could do more circles and delegate out or hire out people to do squares. So when someone asks me, who should I hire first, when I'm thinking about, maybe a couple more years down the road and you're thinking about growing your team or thinking about hiring your first employee, that's my encouragement every time is do that exercise, do it often, and hire squares so that you can do more circles. Like it needs to be, because you're probably really good at the circles. They probably come very natural to you and they're easy and you're probably more effective. And the squares you probably suck at. And you think you're good at it and you're just not as good as the next guy who's passionate about it. And that changed over time. For me, when I first opened my shop, it was, I hated getting the phone call in the middle of the repair, asking about how much a price is, and then asking them to text me a picture. And then freaking in the middle of the repair, then calling me back, hey, did you get my picture? And I was like, I hated that. Like I just wanted to fix dents, or I wanted to answer phones, or I wanted to do whatever. Hated doing R&I, I felt like that was the least high, like I was the least efficient with, and it was paying me the least of the job. And so when I started hiring, I basically hired people to answer the phones and to do R&I for me so that I could fix more dents. That was my first, those were my squares to begin with. Obviously I was hiring accountants and other stuff, but those were my squares when I first hired. But what was interesting is over time, I really grew to love the team building side and the business owner side. And this fixing dents was never wasn't my circles anymore. I kind of enjoy a gravy hail hood or something like that, obviously, because it's satisfying, but it wasn't like a thing that I woke up passionate about. And I realized that I needed to hire others to hire people that are passionate about the metal and the cars and everything else, so that I can be passionate about the things that I am passionate and probably more gifted at. And that means just surrounding myself with people that have those passions and being willing to give up the wheel to let someone else run with the thing. So
right. But I mean, you got to be somewhat successful and getting up to that point. And you sound like, even though you weren't a car guy or you didn't really care, you got bored of fixing dents, like you said, you were still really good and efficient at it. So that was able to get you to the next step. I mean, you got to the point to where you were bored at it. And from what I've seen in myself, if I fear something, or fear is a strong word, but if I dread doing something, or if I don't want to do it, it's usually because I'm not that good at it. So I try to take something like that and make that a priority over something that I am good at. And I kind of try to even those out as best I can. But the circles and square thing, that is a really good thing.
It's a good exercise. It's a good exercise.
I do. It's just an audit of yourself. It's an audit of your process, and to continue, but never to stop doing that. To continuously audit. Am I doing what I'm best at? Are there things about what I'm doing that I'm not good at that I need to be working on, like you were saying? I think I tend to, like, if I'm not good at something, I want to challenge myself to get 80% good. But then after I get to that 80%, I'm like, now I'm ready to hire someone. Like, the secret to happiness is delegation, I think, and finding the right people that want to take it 100%. And like, I can recognize talent, and then I can get out of the way of it.
Okay. I agree with that.
Having said that, so you started mobile, you started on your
Wholesale.
own.
Yeah.
Well, wholesale. So you, at one point you were doing all this stuff, all the circles and squares.
All of it. Yeah, you would do.
with no
You're wearing
option
all the
on that.
hats, and you
Right.
convince yourself that you're pretty good at all of it because you're the only guy doing it. I'm pretty good
Right.
at making Facebook posts, or what I wasn't doing Facebook at the time, but pretty good at doing this, the SEO, or I'm pretty good at the X or Y, or pretty good at the dents and pretty good at all the other stuff, or maybe even the best. Maybe you're that confident, you think you're awesome. You're not as awesome as you think you are at all these things.
Right.
Is the reality. Like
Not
that's
all
just
of it, no.
that's the reality. And that there's always people that are better than you, and what you can, if you can partner with those. It's it's like trying to be the best quarterback and the best field goal kicker at the same time. Like both have incredible skill sets, but you're never going to find a team that employs those two to do one guy to do both those jobs. The E-Myth is a great book for this. It's
I'm in the middle of it.
yeah, it's fantastic. And it talks about just a really pragmatic, if you're a restaurant owner and you're greeting the customer and then you're taking them back and sitting them down and then coming over and waiting on the table and then back in the back making the food. And then in between that, you're cleaning the bathroom and then you're also trying to pay and buy food for tomorrow. You're not efficient at all. And so as a business owner, sometimes that's what you got to do. But if you want to grow beyond what your hands can juggle, you have to be willing to give up some of those processes, which means defining those processes. And then almost, writing the job description for all those jobs and then hiring people with the skill sets that can do those things.
Right.
So how long would you say it took you until you made your first hire? And were you still mobile at that time?
I tried to hire early on that was only 4 or 5 months. It didn't work out for either one. I wasn't good enough to train him and he wasn't passionate about it and all that. So that one I don't
have
really
the process in place yet. Like
I didn't have the process, and I didn't have the business mind about it either. I was just I feel like if I train someone and keep X percentage and give them X percentage, I can make more money. And that was kind of my mindset, and I can work on the sales. When I went all in, we had a hailstorm. I don't know, this was 9 years ago, 8.5, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, somewhere in there. I had a hailstorm. Jim Mitchell always talks about that was the first time he and I met because he came in and tried to land one of my accounts, and I just walked over to him and shook his hand, and he went and I was just like, "What up, dude?" And just shook his hand, and we walked separate ways. By the way, Mike, this is not a vest; it's a sewn-in hoodie. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments.
No, you got to set the record straight.
It's
so that's
right.
good.
Yeah, Mike.
I'm in a hoodie season of my life, and this is a hoodie that has a vest outerwear. So anyway,
it's good.
I went all in. I had a hailstorm, and this is a true story. I had a hailstorm, and I decided that I was going to work 4 days a week, and I was going to golf every Friday. That was going to be. I had a decent amount of money sit in the bank. That was going to be my life, and I did it 4 weeks in a row. And on the 5th week, it rained, and I caught myself driving and looking at real estate. Like it was like halfway through it when I realized what was like, and I basically was looking at shops, and it took 4 weeks. And what was interesting was I thought in my head, this is my normal number that I hit in a month. I'll just work a little harder those 4 days. And I've got all this cash sitting aside. I can maybe even take the break off. I found that when I did that, the daily rate that I ran just plummeted on those 4 days. Like I didn't have the go-getter mindset. I'd shifted down a gear, and it wasn't like I just couldn't juggle shifting up for 4. Like I just wasn't very good at that. So I started looking at real estate and found a property that looked really appealing as a shop, and basically just made the move. And all the cash that I just made from hail, I pushed all in on a shop and hiring 2 employees day one. So my first day of owning a shop, it was a rental, but the first day of having a shop, my first 2 employees started the week before while we were setting up. And one was a full-time to run the front, and one was part-time to do R&I and buff my wet sand marks and stuff, and then it took about 4 or 5 months, and that one came on full time, and that's kind of never really looked back since then. So
okay. So yeah, you got well established. You had your nice nest egg and everything before it, and you basically the shop chose you.
I had work. It was a nest egg that I could take it easy if I wanted to, but it wasn't enough for me to do the shop and have a nest egg. I put it all in. I mean, it was an all-in move for me to do that. It was a burn the boats type thing, if you've ever read that. There's no exit strategy from it for me. I mean, I say that, but I've shared this before, that there was a moment. Again, I'll tell all my stories anytime anyone asks. The ping pong story is another one, but the ping pong story is, again, Andy's laughing at me and Hudson is too. But so my first year, I opened the shop in October. I come down to MTE in January. I'm not joking, because I did an open house and we invited all the insurance adjusters in the area, and we had an amateur dent contest, and it was a huge success. We had like a couple hundred people show up, and but I only invited people that were kind of industry adjacent. It was great. And I had probably 15 drinks bought for me at MTE because I had opened a shop and it was kind of a new thing. Nobody was opening shops at the time. Pat me on the back saying, I tried it once, it didn't work. You're the man. You can do this. This has happened in January. In February, it's about 3 weeks after MTE. It was on a Thursday. My 9 a.m. appointment, no call, no showed. And my 10 a.m. called 5 minutes before to cancel and was not willing to schedule and get another on the point. So they canceled, basically. And I'm sitting in my office, and I'm sitting at this nice shiny glass desk with this big MacBook computer. And I'm looking at my calendar, and I have nothing on the calendar for the rest of Thursday. And I have nothing on the calendar for Friday at all. And I kind of just started breathing heavy, having this little bit of a panic attack. And the only thing I could hear in the world, the only sound, was ka-dink, ka-dink, ka-dink. It was my 2 salaried employees playing ping pong in my empty shop. And I just stumbled out. I mean, you see the movies where it's like the sound goes up as the high pitch. Like, I just stumbled out of the shop. I literally was like, what the actual fuck have I done with my life? Like, what have I done? Like, that moment was a real, like, it was bad. And I called a friend of mine, and he gave me the best advice I've had in my career. And I've gotten a lot of great advice, but he gave me some really great advice at a really great time. He said, Matt, you're scared to fail. And I said, no shit, Sherlock, I'm terrified of it. And he said, no, you're scared to fail, and you're giving it all this power. What I want you to do is just literally envision what failure actually looks like. So I closed my eyes, and I remember this day. I pulled over. It was in a Best Buy parking lot, and I pulled over and leaned my seat back and closed my eyes. And I just went through. It was almost like meditating in the car. I went through and was like, what does it look like to actually fail at the thing I've done? Close the doors. I disappoint these 2 employees. I have to show my face at MTE, or maybe I never show back up again. All these people, maybe I'm being talked about or laughed at behind my back. And that all sucked. But then the next thing I realized, I was like, well, faith is important to me. That's still intact. My family's really important to me. I had 2 kids at the time. I have 3 now. They don't know what I do for a living. They don't even care what I do for a living. That's still intact. And I still have this skill that I was able to make, 6 figures a year doing this with my hands, that I can go back and do tomorrow out of the back of my truck.
Right.
And so, like, I had this safety net that I never even really realized I had. And that, like, I'd almost defined failure as having a job where I worked for myself, had these skills, family, I defined it as like the day before I started this endeavor of the shop. Like, I'd literally defined my worst case scenario, failure, walls crashing down, Jericho, all the stuff, as like the day before I took my first step.
When you were doing just fine and had a nice nest egg.
Yeah. And maybe I have a few less bucks in the bank, and maybe I have some extra bruises and blood, whatever. But like when I defined failure as not, I just realized it wasn't that bad. Right. It was a whole lot more. It looked like success to about 98% of the world. Right. And to me, it was like, what am I scared of? And it just took all the power out of that. And I just was able to kind of lean into, failure would suck. And but it made these like leaps of faith feel just like steps of faith. It didn't feel quite as scary, because I didn't, and I still feel, as we grow, every time we grow and every time we do something, it's like, you're getting taller. That just means you fall harder. And then it's still, the head trash still goes in there. It does, but it's like, failure still, to me, tomorrow I can go out and push dents out of the back of my truck and make a great living for my family.
It kind of sounds like
always there.
Kind of sounds like you went through with the circles and squares thing in the Best Buy parking lot, and you just kind of like went over like, hey, if this happens, then what? Then you've got this to fall on, you've got that to fall on, and it's not really
Yeah,
That
it's just
mad.
like shining the flashlight in the closet. Where the boogeyman's not as bad as you think it is, and like failure is like a thing that all of us as business owners, you're going to wrestle with, you're going to feel, and you're going to have those bad days
Uh-oh.
where you fail at a job or you're not as financially, whatever you thought you would be at this point, or you see somebody else, Bryce Kelly out there fixing stuff that you would never think about saying yes to. And it's like, but again, like for me, it was really important that was an important moment in my career. It was like just realizing that failure just wasn't nearly as bad as like I built it up in my head to be. And that allowed me the freedom to take some steps that maybe I wouldn't have taken otherwise. So.
Okay. You mentioned that first shop was a rental.
Yep.
Now I know I've heard a lot of people talking about, if you're trying to, Nick's gone. I'm sure he'll be back in a second. If somebody's looking to create a business, not a job, and it's something that they can sell and retire, one of the main things I hear mentioned is you better own the building. You better probably the land. You got to at least own something.
Own some dirt. Yeah.
Do you think that rental was a mistake, or is it a good stepping stone?
No, it was definitely a good stepping stone. I couldn't imagine going out and making the investment in buying property with having never rented or having some version of a shop, just to build your business model, and figure out how to do retail and depend on that retail. You know what I mean? I'm sure people can be successful buying property and then building the business around it, but to me, it's definitely something that I still rent to this day. I spend stupid money on rental, but it's been conscious decisions. And we've had a couple moments where we almost bought at different times. But I looked at it as, there's a lot of business models out there, that exist, and we can go off on a long tangent.
Right.
I can talk for days about it, but I looked at it as I wanted to grow more locations to be potentially in more hail markets as a result. And that I could grow kind of wide or I could grow tall. And if I grow tall, it's all, honestly, I wouldn't have two shops if I wanted to own, because I would just own the building and then probably manage it. And I wouldn't even have a manager. For me, it was more about growing a little bit more wide and having the team in place and having the processes in place. Now, does that mean that we would like to own some property as it makes sense? But it's also, if you think about a building that's, a $2 million building, you're probably going to put $400,000 down. You could basically outfit and build 4 shops with that $400,000. So it's like, which one's better for you, to own 4 shops in 4 different markets that potentially are open to hail, and then you can hopefully make successful, or is it better to own one building that costs, that you own the real estate for? And I don't really answer that. But we went the wide route is what I've gone.
I get it. It's a different model for that. But what you still have created something that is not owner dependent, because you've got multiple locations that run when you're not there, so that's a good thing. So what are some steps that someone in, maybe not in my as early as I am, but maybe where Nick's starting to get really busy, and he's starting to almost be too busy, and maybe Nick should start thinking about, this is all Nick's decision. I'm just opening up a conversation here and using him as an example.
One of the things I think I would do differently had I had the data that I have now. Hudson has done this. Andy mentioned it earlier. Even when I was mobile, I would have hired someone to answer my phones and basically just vet customers. And all I'm doing at the beginning would be just top level estimating. I talk to one person and she or he sends me the picture. I give them a number and then they give it to the customer, but they do all the scheduling. They have all. I would have done that, I think, or I would do that if I was in that 5 or 6 years into my career and starting to think about opening a shop or maybe going down that road. And when I went into it, I thought you had to have the building to have the employees, honestly. And this was obviously COVID, and even just now, the resources that are out there are pretty significant in what you can do remotely. And to
Mm.
me, I would not be scared to make those steps way earlier on in my career, where someone is helping support me to be more efficient by basically just being the lead tech of my own company and letting someone else handle all the sales and estimating and scheduling from there.
I agree. What do you think
then-
about the AI models that are doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, I've been reading nonstop for the last 3 days about Claude. That's literally all I'm reading with my time right now, just to kind of learn. Even now, I think that if you're a one-man operator, then AI should be something that you embrace pretty heavily. For me, we use AI to supplement, but we have a personal touch because I have a manager that answers the phones and a manager that greets customers and a manager that writes the estimate and then delivers the car and then asks for the review. I certainly have not gotten to a point where our business model would ever take that out of the equation. And so we use a little bit of AI and we're working on adding a little bit more for some after hours, but it's more just an answering service. But the just to make sure that we capture customers' information if they're calling after we're closed. But for me, like, I still like the personal touch of the human touch. I mean, believe it or not, I mean, we're dealing with people's babies. They always say that outside of your house, the car is the most high-end investment, and a lot of people are more passionate, especially these car guy customers are more passionate about their car than they are their house. I think some of those would rather talk to a person and feel comfortable, even if they're not talking to you, they're talking to someone that represents you, and can speak on your behalf and can kind of comfort them in those times. Because again, if you're just doing dent repair only, you're not doing any other services. Most of the time you're getting them in when they're kind of distraught, and someone needs to kind of walk them through that and guide them to everything's going to be okay. You called the right place.
I'm 100% with you on that one. Because I feel that way when I call a company. I want to talk to a person, not a computer.
For sure.
That's what people in my area they tend to like a face-to-face personal or real interaction or something. Just to tell them, hey, this can be repaired and you don't have to really go crazy sending it to here, there, whatever. They just want to know an opinion and they want to see a real person behind it. And that's really the only thing that I have against AI as of right now. But I am learning it and trying to figure out what would be best for it, because I don't know. It's just a process to me, and I'm still learning. But yeah,
I mean, it's an incredible tool. We landed a new wholesale deal that we kind of took over Dent Wizard, and we're doing all of it. We're doing wheel repair, interior repair, paint, touch up, windshield chips, dent repair, all of it for a few accounts. And I used AI to help write the contract to develop for them, and had a lawyer sign off on it, but it significantly decreased my billable amount for my lawyer because I basically handed it to him, said, make sure this is good, and get them to sign it, and that's it.
That's and that's what I would use AI for, like that kind of stuff in general. I would use it for that kind of stuff. Not really. I don't think I would use it to answer my phones and stuff for me right now, just because they want that connection.
It does sound nice.
And like Andy said, you want somebody to answer your phones, but I don't know if I want AI answering my phones.
We are in the process of adding a little bit more AI, and I'll know in 4 months if we like it or not, but it'll be for after hours and for when they call and we're busy. And it's essentially just a, if you call like you're at an Airbnb or you call an apartment. When we were in college, you call an apartment. It's the after hours answering service. It's essentially going to be an AI after hours answering service that is just there so that customers don't call and don't leave a message and then never answer when you call. At least you get a name, a phone number, and maybe a make and model of the car. And I don't know. So maybe in 6 months, let's talk again, and I'll tell you what I think of it. But that's something that we're introducing. But we're definitely, I'm more hesitant than some people are about it. But we're kind of ready to embrace a little bit of it. So
using it as a safety net to make sure you catch as many calls, but not making it your main shot or your main function of your shop. I
Yeah,
got that.
yeah.
That
So
that's a good. I like that.
honestly, it's a you know dolled up answering machine. Instead of, even if they call and my team members on the phone, instead of it going to voicemail, it'll
Mhm.
just be a hey, the AI that we're working with and that we're building right now will be able to recognize based on their phone number if they already have a vehicle in the shop or if they're a new customer. If they already
Mhm.
have a vehicle in the shop, it'll answer, I think the way we're programming it, it'll be like, hey, my name is Matt and I'm EasyAutoSpa's AI answering service. Is this Steven? And it'll because it recognizes the number and they say, oh yeah, Steven, I see that you've got a car in the shop. Ethan's on the other line right now. Can I leave a message for him? And it'll literally that's it. And then it'll
Right.
I like that.
transcribe those messages to send to us, rather than it just being busy signal. But mine is, we offer, because we're doing PPFs, window tint, ceramic, all of it. We're offering kind of a bespoke service, a little bit of a high end service on all the board. I don't want people to feel like they drop the keys off and it's all AI and they're never talking to a human after they drop it off. We want
Like talking to an insurance portal.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I tried to call
Yeah,
AT&T
right.
the other day to
Right.
change something on our rates, and I was pulling my hair out trying to just get to a human.
Oh,
Mhm.
And we don't
Right.
ever want to become that, obviously.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
no.
I like that. My AI usage is much smaller. I think I've got a CRM, and it's not really AI. It sends automatic messages, but then it does use AI to respond to my Google reviews, so I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And I use AI personally when I'm communicating with a customer and they, say something where all I want to say is, because you're not listening, something, you want to yell at the
Yep.
customer. And it's like, I take a screenshot sometimes. I send it right to Chat GPT. I'm like, listen, just give
How
me
do I
an answer
respond to
for this
this?
person.
Yeah, exactly.
And they give me like 3 options, so.
We just added a new bonus program literally for March for all of our team, and I input into AI what all I wanted and said, can you create a handout that explains the reasons, the why, all the stuff, and it just shortens my time of sitting in front of a computer screen is what I'm
Mhm.
using a lot of it for. So
Yeah.
Yep. No,
No,
I can.
those are all good things for AI. I like it as a good safety net or safety catch for
yeah.
catching after hours calls and all that stuff. But I've heard a lot of people make it their main source. I don't know that I would do that, especially in the South, being in the South like I am. That
Yeah.
probably wouldn't go over well with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Um,
not ready to let it schedule customers or write estimates yet, but I certainly want it to be just a, rather. I think it's slightly more personal feeling, even though it's not. But I feel like it's slightly more personal feeling than leaving a voicemail on an answering machine. You know what I
right,
mean? It's like one step closer to the person, even though you're not really at the person yet.
right,
And that's kind of what we want to use it for.
I
So
like that, and I feel like it could even be used. You can grab a few bits of information from them, and then
yeah,
that message you get from the AI not only has what they told you, but you were able to pull where they're from. Maybe what
yeah,
kind of car it is or whatever. So
yep.
that's pretty good. Andy wants to know if you use AI to pick out your vests.
Every day, man. It's AI. It is the only thing I can do to improve my look. I've improved as much as I can.
Sorry,
yeah.
he's using it to try and make himself feel better about the size of his feet. You got to measure from
Yeah,
you got to
but-
measure from underneath, Andy.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll make you feel better.
Ready for some diamond chasing. I was talking about earlier today, we was talking about doing some just local market campaigning stuff. And I had
Yeah.
mentioned something about those flyers that you can put in mailboxes and make
Yeah.
it go to every customer. Is that something that you've done before? You think that's relevant, or is that kind of like too old of a thing?
I've done it and I never had any success. I know there's companies that still do it, and so somebody's having success off of it.
Mhm.
If they're doing it, they're having success. I was literally in a car today. I was using an Uber driver, but they were listening to a radio station, and I heard a PDR ad for a company that's not my company, for some of my competition. And I tried radio years ago and never had success. I've tried newspaper years ago. To me, social media is cheap. and it's just more about branding. And Google AdWords is the only advertising I've ever done that was like I could measure the dollars and the success of it. We
Yeah.
still do. We look at like car shows as kind of there's a couple of charities that we're involved with that we sponsor, but then we have a presence at. We look at that as like,
Mhm.
for us, it's like we want to be 60% pretty much, marketing that we know will work, which is like
Mhm.
Google essentially. 20% in kind of new marketing, maybe it's TikTok or Facebook or whatever it is, and
Mhm.
then like 10% in just kind of wild oddball. So that's me spending money to be at a car show or being in a,
Right.
maybe it's the flyers. I don't think there's anything wrong with using those flyers, but it just needs to
Mhm.
be a very small portion of your marketing budget.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Sure.
To do that.
Sure.
If you're spending $1,000 a month on marketing and you spend 800 of it on flyers one month, that's probably not a great use of your
Mhm.
money.
Right. Yeah.
We
No,
have to remember
I wouldn't
because Nick
advise
is
spending that
in
much on flyers.
Yeah.
Mississippi, where it's kind of back in time a little bit. I mean, he has trouble with the Google and everything. So honestly,
Yeah.
I think mailers might do, and even Chris says put them in old people subdivisions in the streets.
So there
You
is a
know,
lot of the older crew here, and when I do dent repair for people and I ask for Google reviews, 90% of the people here are not even signed into Google to even give you a review.
Yeah.
right?
And they're like Andy and a couple others were just talking about AI. I think Louis just looking up stupid stuff with AI. That's what they do with Google. They're not even signed up for it.
Yeah.
And
The Google. Yeah.
The Google.
the Google.
Yeah.
But I agree. Facebook, Google Ads, and all that kind of stuff is much better use of your money.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I do think like, if you're going to do ad spend with like pamphlets or flyers or postcards or whatever, honestly, it probably needs to be a coupon of some
Right.
sort.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that'll work on that. I
And
think
I
if
like
you
that.
send it out and just let them know you do dent repair, nobody's going to call. But
right.
if you send them out and say, hey, 20% off your next dent
Mhm.
repair or $50 off your next dent repair, you'll get some calls out of that.
Right.
Highway signs, highway billboards.
Yeah, and we were
Yeah.
just talking about that the other day, and really we was talking about it because I had seen one of those things, and I didn't even realize that people still done that stuff. But I had seen one that came to my house, and I was like, people still do this? I wonder if that works for people. So when I threw it out here, and everybody in here goes, "Oh, that sucks." That's
Yeah.
probably not something that you want to try doing that. But if we had some guys in here that was like, well, we had a little bit of success for it. I mean, it's worth trying.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear, because I had one person tell me, and he's the only person to tell me this, a PDR tech who used YouTube ads. So he made a video or two on his YouTube, turned them into ads, and I mean,
Yeah, we do that. We still do that to this day.
it's something like pennies per time it's viewed.
Sorry, I was trying to
No,
mute,
you're
but I
fine.
couldn't find the mute button.
You're good. Versus, I mean, Louis here, he's saying, how much are you spending per lead on Google? I just looked today. I'm under $3 per click, cost per click.
That's good.
So I'm happy with that. Because it was at like 5.
Get your breathing rest, Andy.
But what for the YouTube videos being like a penny or two per view per time it plays, I heard it went far for some people, for this one person.
I've done YouTube pretty heavily, honestly, and it works really well. I mean, it's still it's an extension of Google, so it's gonna. What the benefit of it is, if someone Google search PDR near me, or some question that kind of flags, then it'll kind of chase them with those ads. So it puts your name and your mind in it. I don't get a lot of calls that are like direct clicks from that ad, but it is very cheap to do, and it works in tandem for us. It works in tandem with our SEO, with our AdWords and our SEO as well.
Do you take the videos and embed them into your website as well?
Yeah. So we have our I don't know how many we have now. I have our
Landing
web guy.
pages.
We have
Yeah.
landing pages that are kind of stupid. We have a landing page for every service we offer with every major make and model car.
Yep.
So every major make has a landing page for that service, and then the specific models that are like Mustang guys or Raptor guys or Jeep guys, like that. You think about the models that are like super.
Yeah, they got the cult following.
That's their identity.
Yeah.
We have a landing page for every one of our services with that specific model in mind, but we do it for every make as well. So we have landing pages for, because we do PDR, PPF, window tint, ceramic coating, all out of our shop, and we do some minor kind of hybrid collision work as well. We have landing pages for all those services, and 5 years ago that was the future. I mean, that was if you asked me exactly what like the secret to success in marketing was, it was landing pages. The They Ask You Answer is a book that's a fantastic book. I think now AI has kind of killed some of the value of that, because if you Google search something now, if you Google search, can this dent be fixed or paintless dent repair near me or whatever, instead of showing you a landing page, Google's going to use AI to answer the question with links to your page, but it's not actually going to send them to your page. So that kind of killed some of the value of some of the They Ask You Answer type of marketing that we pushed hard. I mean, it's still valuable. We got a Rivian dent that was a $7,000 Rivian quarter panel dent that someone found us because they used ChatGPT to look up if a Rivian dent could be repaired with PDR, and they found us through ChatGPT. And that was our web guy. We pushed him to invest some of our marketing collateral into AI based marketing, essentially writing your marketing to educate AI. Right. Then that way that when they answer a question, then they link you as the source. And we were able to, we just got it with a $7,200, $7,100 repair on a R1S quarter panel that drove from Virginia down to my Athens shop to get it repaired. So, and that was because they found us on ChatGPT.
That's going to be the one right there. I think that blows up big time.
People got to pay attention to where they're ranked on the AIs.
Yeah. So we're pretty heavy into that now. That's kind of our main focus. We got all the landing page. I mean, I bet we have 1,400 landing pages on our website right now. It's stupid how many we have. Because I wanted a landing page. If you Google searched, can a dent on a body line be fixed? I wanted a landing page that showed up. If you're in Pittsburgh, Gene Fetty had messaged me one day because he Google searched how much is PDR, and my landing page showed up in Pittsburgh, and he was like, whatever. And I was like, yes, it's working. But that is, we rank internationally for a lot of that stuff, but you don't get a lot of leads off of that. But Google then looks at you as a valuable asset and pushes you higher in your local market as well.
I think we should all be focusing on that a lot more, because people are steering away from the Google and asking ChatGPT everything. So, and like you said, you ask Google something, you get an AI response at the top.
Yeah,
the Google.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that into it. Yeah. So marketing. Go ahead.
I just wanted to make a point that another quick use of ChatGPT, I've used it out on selling a job. Literally standing in front of something that's a little bit worse, like maybe a medium to a large dent or small collision, take a picture of it and ask ChatGPT, how much would this cost to repair? And I've gotten a breakdown that was pretty damn accurate.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's
cool. A body shop price and a PDR price. And I'm going, listen, it even wants me to charge you more for PDR than I'm asking. And look how much more the body shop is. And it's like, boom, I got the job right there and then.
Yeah.
So it's a great tool. I mean, it's not perfect. You have to tell everybody, it's not going to be perfect, but it's a tool.
Yeah. That segues into when I hired my managers that actually manage my shops, I hired guys that had estimating experience in the collision world. And so they could come in and look at a customer in the eye and say, this is what the body shop right up the road is going to charge you. I know that because I used to work at that shop, and they could tell them exactly how a body shop is going to break things down. And they're also, body shop estimators are used to handling 30 to 40 work files at a time that are much more complicated than ours. So when I ask them to handle 15 to 20, it's not a big deal for them. I mean, they're very used to that kind of a workload.
Smart.
So,
Right.
but yeah, that the being able to compare your price to the body shop is a pretty quick sale for most
It's
customers.
way more accurate than Mobile Tech RX comparative pricing. I'll tell you that
Pricing,
much.
yeah.
It's not
I
that
hear
great.
people all the time mention about something. I don't know what I was doing a repair the other day, and a guy was like, the body shop wanted like, I don't know, it was like $2,800 for something I was doing, and I was like, no, I didn't know that, but that's pretty crazy. And people do sympathize with.
Yeah, I'll finish this point. I had an M3 customer the other day, and his he had a tiny little ding, but he had stealth PPF. And this is a brand new M3 competition. So he had been told by 2 or 3 body shops that there's no way that dent could be fixed without peeling the PPF and repainting and all that. And so when I got there and I said, listen, after R&I, it's a 1-inch dent. Sorry, having cat issues. After, even though it's just a 1-inch dent, I mean, I got to take all this apart. I have to work around your stealth PPF and all this. And it ended up, I didn't have to take anything apart, but I got the full price. He was more than willing to pay the $400 because he had already been to the body shops and seen what it would cost and the stealth PPF reapplying.
I can't tell you how many times I've written an estimate for a PDR job and then got in the car and pulled it around inside the shop and looked, and they had a body shop estimate for the same job sitting in the front seat. And I'm like, shit, I underbid this.
That's actually good to look around for that. I've seen that a lot of body shops when they drop off their car, they have the estimates from the other shops sitting in the passenger seats. But I mean, it is what it is. Looks like Nick's having some issues here. Hopefully he gets in before we end this. But
your cats are messing with the Wi-Fi over there.
It must be what it is. They're affecting his. Oh, she knocked the external hard drive into the filing cabinet. Jeez. I wonder what made all that noise. So is there anything before we wrap up that you wanted to say to our audience at all?
I think that one of the things that I have leaned into pretty heavily recently, and it deals a little bit of that fear of failure that I talked about earlier.
Yes.
Is like, we're all business owners, and a lot of people are really scared. It's a male, masculine driven industry, and we all have this, like, we're never going to fail, and nobody, can show the chinks in their armor. I'm a much bigger fan of us just kind of owning that we're all human and that we all have, like, we're all figuring this out together, and you're not going to do things right the first time. And that doesn't mean that you're not meant for the job you're doing. And that doesn't mean that you're not meant to be a business owner. But what it should encourage us is to look around to others, to maybe lean into others, have those conversations. I'm always willing at trade shows and on podcasts to come on and talk about things we're doing to try to have conversations about the things we do right and the things we've done wrong, to learn that we've learned along the way, and not to shy away from those flaws and those learning speed bumps that we've all run into. I think that this industry is a bit of a Wild West for a long time. I mean, people, the drill and bill mindset was there for forever, and just make up a price and shoot from the hip. Now with software and with people running legitimate businesses, we have to be running things with a long-term mindset in mind, just not just for ourselves, but for the industry in general. And that means that not being scared to lean on others and have conversations and try to learn from others. It's, again, I at the MTE this year, we did the shop owners conversation, and I'm learning with the guys that I'm sharing the stage with just as much as the audience is. It's fantastic. It's incredible. I mean, that, Corey Kleinfeld, Gene Fetty, and Andy, and Chris, and all these guys are just incredible resources to lean on, that we learn a ton from. And I think that most people in this industry are also very willing to share knowledge to other technicians if they're asking. I kind of cringe when I see some of the PDR groups that are out there that are kind of marketed towards guys that are just starting their career, because I don't think it's seems sometimes like blind leading the blind, but I think there's a lot of really seasoned technicians that are more than willing to share their experiences. And if you ask, we're always willing to kind of lean in and have those conversations. So if anybody is watching and they have any questions about hiring their first employees or opening a shop, or they're scared of this or they're fearful that, like, call me and call Andy and call other guys in this industry, because we're all willing to share and help. And that's one of the things I loved about this industry. My first MTE I went to, I pulled up in the driveway and there was 3 PDR guys out front. I didn't know anybody. And we sat out there for 5 hours. I'm not joking. It was 4 a.m. I got there at like 10:30 and we were out there till 4 a.m. drinking. We started fixing dents on the truck. It was the infamous, it became the Drunk Dent Olympics, because we were all drunk and fixing dents on a car. But it was literally just because, guys, we had the same common language that we spoke, and we were just yearning to be around others that spoke that same language.
Yep. Greg says can he guess which Facebook group you're talking about? Probably. I think we all can.
Yeah. I am a very big fan of, in a small industry like ours, all of us trying to just help one another and to better the industry, not leave it better than we found it. You know, any team member that I bring on board, it's like I challenge them to never leave things worse than they found it. Leave everything better than you found it. Whether you're here for 6 months or 6 years or 16 years, you know, I want you to be better because you were a part of our team, and I want the team to be better because you were a part of it. And I think the same challenges for the industry. Leave it better than you found it. And that means being willing to give back and have conversations and help others. And it also means being willing to ask when you're not sure, and don't just, screw things up.
Tough. That's tough. I mean, that's why we do this podcast, is to try and give back, make things better. And we were doing the same thing for the collision repair industry, and we're trying to leave it better than we found it,
giving them a spot to hang out, because they really didn't have anything. It's just kind of just go in with headphones on, sit in the corner all day, repeat. You don't really get to see sun on beautiful days like we've had. I don't know how it's been.
The camaraderie in that
great. So
the camaraderie in that industry is amongst the shop owners. That's where the technicians didn't have any. So we're trying to create something like that. But in terms of you spoke on the fear of failure, the risk of failure. I would like to point out that when I went to Discover Leadership Training, I think the plaque's back there, they help you find what's holding you back from success. And for me, my first time going, it was the risk of failure. And I mean, look at me now. I just quit my job, and went off to go do my own thing. I don't have enough. I have some stuff scheduled, but not enough, so yeah, the fear of failure is there, and I can relate to what you said. I have what's failure look like, and I said, well, I could always go. I have these body shop skills.
Yeah, the skills you can always back. If you have good relationships and you're good to the people that are good to you, and you're good to those relationships, I mean, you're always going to have exit strategies and other alternatives that work for you. And
those who don't try, never fail. So if you fail, congratulations. Most people never try,
Yeah.
I love that quote. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Good. Yeah. I mean, the quote I've talked about it. I talked about it at the Hail Expo this year. The Man in the Arena quote by Theodore Roosevelt is the one that hits home for me right now. It's the not the critic who counts. It's the man in the arena who's marred by blood and sweat and tears, and who on his best days knows the taste of victory and success, but on his worst days, even if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. And it's like that to me is like, I'd rather be in the arena trying and failing than being on the sidelines being scared to take the step. And I think that there's a lot of people that are all in our industry, because it's made up of so many kind of entrepreneurial minded people that find themselves in that position. And it's a very lonely, scary position. But to me, it's like, I think the more we talk about it, the more we open it up, and the more we all are kind of willing to share, I mean, whatever you define my story as some version of success, I still struggle and deal with the same fear of failures and the same fear of what am I doing right and wrong. It's just my failures just affect, 18 team members and 12 contractors now. I mean, we got 30 people on payroll right now.
Yeah.
And my failure now affects all these other people. It's just wider than it used to be, but it's still there. It's the same feelings, and it's the same
just at a different level.
It's
Yeah.
good to hear. It's
Yeah.
good to hear because from
Yeah.
this side of it, it does seem like when you watch people like you, like a Gene Fetty, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, those guys must be living the life, sitting back. They got the business going. It's all going nice and smooth and everything. And he made that point in his podcast recently. He's like, bro, this ain't easy. Even now, it's not easy. It's only gotten harder.
Yeah. I mean, all of us that have been in it for a long time and are kind of doing similar, stuff. Like we all have these conversations behind the, we were at the MTE this year. We were talking, and Doug Hilius was there, and he was like, he sent us in our group chat. He sent a picture of all of his taxes that he was writing checks to all these people. He's like, should this be my leading slide on the conversations? Like, this is what it looks like to be a shop owner and a business owner. It's like, all of us wrestle with the same stuff. It just looks a little bit different. And that's not to be discouraging. It's to be encouraging that if you're feeling that kind of anxiety and that overwhelming feeling, you're not alone. And I think that is the thing that I've leaned into pretty heavily recently in my career, is that I'm done with any BS. I'm the best machismo. I'm never gonna, whatever. I'm all about just being real. And if my struggles and things I've not done well can maybe keep you from doing it, then I'm all about sharing it. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing that I've loved about the relationships I've garnered in this industry. And I wouldn't have the shop and the team and the people I have if it wouldn't have been from going to things like MTE and from getting to know people in our industry. I mean, it's just the openness of the industry that's allowed me to have any version of success that I have.
That's what I keep telling people. I say, if you're serious about this stuff, I say, start networking. Go to things like MTE, go to the smaller events. And even if you can't, just get into people's, get into their DMs and start bugging people, get some phone numbers, because there's so many helpful people in this industry. I wouldn't be where I am now without that fact. So really,
there is.
That's one of the best things I could tell people: network and vision. I like what you said. Picture what failure looks like. That's great advice. That's great advice.
It's just, I mean, if you've got a skill, it's never as bad as you have it in your head to be. It just is. Failure to me is it was crippling for a long time, and now it's like, it sucks and I don't want to fail, but guess what, like, a lot of people don't try, and that's a version of failure that right there, and to me it's like, I'd rather try and fail. I mean, what are the Hall of Fame baseball players strike out 2 out of 3 times but hit a home run the third time. It's like, that you're in the Hall of Fame. Like, that's who I want to be in a lot of ways, is trying things and if I can help others on that journey, then awesome. I've given back to the industry that's given me a lot of opportunities and a lot of cool things in my career. I see Mitchell Jim just jumped on a moment ago. I mentioned you earlier, Jim. You have to go back and watch. So so
Jim watches every episode.
Jim is one of my favorite friends in this industry, because he keeps his
awesome.
Crap real. Like, he is my 4-year-old just fell in love with Jim at MTE this year. And I mean, it was incredible this year. Like, brought kids and family and all that stuff, and they just like, the industry just embraces all of us as we are. It's great. So it's awesome. I've loved, when I've watched y'all's podcast, it's been great, because a lot of the conversations I've had have been with guys who've been in it for 15 years and have maybe are now opening shops, and, Gene or Andy or whoever, whatever it is. I've loved yours because, again, it's techs that are kind of entering the industry more recently, but still trying to lead by example, and also open to learning and wanting to learn. I think that's such a great example to have.
Awesome. At a time where the industry is really on fire, and
it is
in both worlds, both PDR and the body shop world, as far as like changing how repairs are being done.
Look at what Kiko's doing right now. It's and it's crazy how much the body shop world has embraced, glue pull and push to paint and pull to paint type things. It's incredible. And there's a lot of smart guys that you were talking about earlier, the guys that have shops that are so good at giving back, like the tool manufacturers in our industry. That's why I'm like, I don't mean this critically, but if anybody's ever posted about buying stuff on Temu or whatever it is, it's like, get the fuck out of it. Like that, to me, this industry, the people that give it the most are the people who are making tools for us, because we're such a small niche market. They support us, and we need to be supporting them in every way we can. And to me, like that's huge. The everybody from Dentcraft to Kiko to everybody in between, they're it's awesome what they're doing.
I couldn't agree more.
I agree with
It's tough to you can't pick sides. I mean, they're just, all these companies are making such great stuff. So it's yeah, I love being independent, being able to share that with people. And I get those messages all the time, because a lot of these tool companies have worked with me and sent me a lot of stuff to try out. So then I get all these kids, I call them kids, who could be older than me, but trying to get into PDR, and they go, what should I buy? And I'm like, I love this conversation. What are you trying to do? You know, and then just give them 3 or 4 things. Start with this. Don't buy the Amazon kit, you know, don't buy the Temu crap, you know, let's get you started right. But anyway, Matt, thanks for coming on. This was a lot of fun. Flew by.
Yeah. And genuinely, for both of you and anybody listening, if you ever have anything that I can help with, run it by me, message me, DM me, or whatever. I'm always available. And if I'm not working, I'm golfing. If I'm not golfing, I'm fishing. And if I'm not fishing, I'm helping somebody in the industry, hopefully. So, I'm always happy to help. So,
well, before I got on here earlier today, there was a few people that were really interested in the business side and what you can and can't do there. What's the kind of, I don't want to say a streamlined approach to be successful, but like a handful of things that are really on fire right now. And
can you watch my kids this weekend? there's a few of them.
I love Danny. He's so good.
Hold on, I gotta say, because he said up here, we were talking about if you fail as your business, just open another LLC.
Yeah, just open another LLC.
All I can picture is Michael Scott saying, "I'll just start another paper company."
Michael Scott paper company. and another.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick, what were you saying?
Yeah, I was just saying that the people were really interested in that business side of stuff. That's kind of like the hot topic now. I know you talk about it at MTE and stuff a lot, but there's been a few people that don't get to go to MTE, obviously, that still wanted to know about it and just interested in that. I guess that's like been an important building block for some people lately that might be behind the scenes building their own little empire and just kind of want to see, hey, what works, what doesn't work. So
I mean, I think I know we're wrapping up, but if I was giving any advice to anybody about any of that, is just know your numbers. And if you pay your team based on what you think the industry standard is, run the numbers on what you have left over at the end of it, and you're not going to have enough for you to not be involved as a tech or as a manager. Like, you know what I mean? If you want to be an owner, you have to run it like a freaking owner. Like you have to think about numbers in a way. And if you're not thinking about it, nobody's thinking about it. You know what I mean? And so I just think you have to be willing to have to not, make decisions based on people loving you or liking you, but based on long-term success and long-term stability for the company, because that is how you love and care for those people that have signed up to work for you. It's like just like my kids. Like my kids would eat ice cream and pancakes every night if I let them, right? But like that's not me loving them well. It's me loving them well by providing healthy nutrients and the right choices that maybe they don't understand or see the value of today, but long-term it's the right choice. As a business owner, you have to be willing to do the same. And that doesn't make you always the most popular at every choice, but it's the right choice, or you have to believe it's the right choice, or you have to make it because you think it's the right choice. And I know a lot of business owners really wrestle with kind of taking the step of like not thinking like a technician.
Right.
You have to go from thinking like a tech to thinking like an owner. And that is a really hard. That's genuinely, we were talking about earlier in the conversation about like starting the PDR and starting your business is really one of the hardest. For me personally, the running it as a business owner has been the hardest challenge I've ever experienced. Honestly, it's been more hard than learning PDR, and it's been more hard than learning how to run a PDR business. Learning how to be a true business owner has been incredibly challenging because the decisions you make don't just affect you. They affect so many people around you. good and bad. So yeah, I mean, to me,
The mind change shift right in there. You gotta,
yeah, I mean, you have to think like an owner, and
right.
that, that means you need to be educating yourself and surrounding yourself, and probably talking to business owners, but also talking to people that are business owners outside of PDR to get perspectives that are helpful.
Mhm.
I mean, I go to any 20 groups or any mastermind things or any groups that I'm a part of are not in the PDR industry. Not that those aren't fantastic. I mean, again, there's a lot of great ones in this conversation, in this group, or in this
Mhm.
industry, but like, I want to learn from the guy who owns 17,
Mhm.
Chick-fil-A's or whatever the thing is, because
Right.
he understands things on a level that I don't understand, and I want to
Mhm.
learn and grow from that guy. How to be a business owner and how to think through it well, and how to understand margins and understand marketing and understand P&L statements and EBITDA and all the other stuff that, like, if you're not thinking about it, nobody's thinking about it. And if you want to
Mhm.
be a business owner, you gotta put yourself in that mode, or you got to partner with people who think in that mode.
Right. Nobody will protect your business like you will.
For sure, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, that's a more in depth, and we can go deep into that on another night. But
Yeah, right.
I would love
anytime.
to, after I finish the E-Myth, which clearly Louis is also reading, and to detect the manager and the entrepreneur.
For sure, 100%.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I,
So, next
we'll
week
have
we're
you on
gonna,
again.
we're gonna. I mean, we're gonna talk about this kind of stuff a little bit more later as we can. But
And AI.
and Stefan's, we're gonna get a week out of Stefan and see what he thinks next week. What he's thinking, what he's feeling, and I want to do that just to get like a here in the now perspective, because we can always talk about what we did, but since he's right here right now doing this, we can kind of see it
Yep.
in kind of real time and see what
I
that
love it.
looks like.
Yeah.
So
I'll do my best to report thoroughly.
I'm just saying, it's good documentation for people that are trying this, that are also wanting to learn the same information.
I agree.
Oh.
It is a good record of that. So
We've been talking about that fear of failure. All these other guys that are right behind you, Stefan, are thinking about, well, I could start, but I have this career and I have this kind of, I've got this thing that's protected. I'm scared to let go of that.
I get paychecks every week,
all that, and being honest and open about your kind of journey and your thoughts, and even those fears in the moment are really important.
Yep,
they are, and just capture some of that and hang out and see what happens. See where we grow.
Sounds good.
Yeah. If y'all ever want to chat again, or if anybody on here wants to chat, I'm always open. Love to have these conversations.
Well, thank you, Matt. We will definitely keep you in mind for that. Everybody else, I guess we'll see you next week. I'm gonna wrap this up, and Nick's gone. So, Nick says goodbye. Yeah, he's coming back. He's not. If he doesn't show, no, he's having issues. All right, I'm ending the show. Have a good night, everybody.
So crank it up.